As always, I'm just going to do a sound check. See if I can get a message to say that I can be heard. I hope you are well and excited for our session. Have you got any snow? That is the important question. We have got loads of snow here. Absolutely loads. Just waiting for the sound check and then we'll make a start. Brilliant. I've got the thumbs up. That's the important thing. Right, good morning, class. How are we? Are you okay? Good. Right. So, welcome to our Just2easy Live lesson. So if this is the first one that you've ever done with us, my name is Miss Kimball, and I'm going to be teaching you and your teacher today about how to use elements of Just2easy. So today we're going to be using j2create. Okay. So in today's session, we are going to be looking at autumn shape poetry. So we're going to be making something like this today. Now, first off, we need to do the very, very important bit, and we've only got a very short list today, and it's for my regular attendees. I don't even really need to look at my list. So welcome to Mr. Kennedy's P4 class at Christ the Redeemer Primary School in Belfast. So welcome, you guys. I think you've attended every one of these this year, so well done. Hopefully, we might be able to see some of your work a bit later. If your teacher is able to send it to me. So that would be fantastic, Mr. Kennedy, if you could. So let's have a look at what we're going to do. Oh, I haven't changed that. So let's not look at what we're going to learn to do today. It's the one bit I meant to change this morning. So we are going to learn how to create a j2create file. We're going to learn how to add in and lock an image to the page. Then we're going to add in some text, and we're going to learn how to rotate our text and add it in a kind of shape outline around our leaf. So this is what we're going to create today. A lovely autumn leaf, and you can see I've got my poetry around the outside. So let's have a little look at this. So we've got autumn is a time for change, red, orange, golden, brown, leaves scatter across the town. Autumn is a time for change. Okay, so we're going to create something like this today. Okay. Now, first off, we need to have a little discussion about what are shape poems. So the clue is in the name. It is a poem that is manipulated into a shape. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to use a picture and we're going to add our text around the outside. But if you have more time, or if your teachers want to revisit this, this is an example of a true shape poem where the words are then moved into a shape. So can you see the lines of this shape of this poem are changed. So we've got changes of colour. In fact, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see, because it's a really impressive poem. So we've got our poem, and can you see each line is a different width and it's different colours. So you can see we've got all the colours of our autumn poem, and it moves down and it's in the shape of a tree. Now this would take us hours and hours, so we're not going to do this today. But if you wanted to spend some time doing this, that is something that you can create in Just2easy, in j2create. Okay, so I'm going to show you the basics of how we can add in images, how we can add in text, how we can move our text and rotate it so it's facing a different way. And then maybe you could revisit this at a later date. Now, first of all, we need to have a think about poetry. And again, if we had a little bit more time, I would get you to probably write your own poem. But these are just two examples of poetry that we could use. And in fact, we're going to use this second one. Okay, so autumn is a time for change. Red, orange, gold and brown. Leaves scatter across the town. Autumn is a time for change. So that is one poem. That's the one that I used in my Waggle, so my example file. And then this one is the one that we're going to use. Leaves are falling, orange and bright. Autumn days are such a sight. Cooler breezes, skies so clear. Autumn time is finally here. Okay. So teachers, if you are watching this back on the recorded session, you can pause here if you want your pupils to create their own poem, and you can just spend some time doing that. They can write that into j2create or onto a scrap piece of paper if they wanted to. But for today's purposes, we're going to use that second one, so I will have that up on the screen for you to copy, don't worry. But first of all, we need to find j2create and open it. Okay, so hopefully you are all logged in. If not, teachers, you can pause this session at any point if you and your students need a little bit more time to complete the activities that we're going to go through. So just run to the front of the classroom and hit the pause button. Okay, so trusting that you are logged in, this will be your launch pad. And we're going to look for this one here. So this is called j2create. I'm going to zoom in just so you can see. It was called j2e5. Okay, it's got a much better name now, j2create. So we're going to click on this button here. So it's red and it's got a bit of a green tab along the left hand side. We're going to click. I'm going to open up. We're going to wait a little bit. There we go. And we're going to open up j2create and it should look like this. Okay, I think my Wi-Fi might be glitching a little bit. Yes. Okay. So the very first thing before we add in our poem is we're going to find our leaf outline. Okay. Does anybody know where we can access pictures on j2create? What is the pictures button? Do you know? It is this one. I'm sorry if my Wi-Fi is glitching. I can see it on my second screen that it's a little bit glitchy. We're going to click on this pictures button. So we're going to go for the little green man here. Okay, so we're going to click on that. My screen has frozen completely. I think I'm just going to have to go with it. Right, so we're going to click on the green man. Here we go. Now I'm not sure why this is glitching so much, so I'm going to close this screen down. And we're going to wait for my computer to crash. Oh dear. Here we go. Right, let's try again, shall we? That seems a bit better already. j2create. There we go. Everybody's okay. Right. Start again, class. Even the experts, it all goes wrong. So we're going to click on the wee green man, which is at the top of our page. So that is our pictures tool. So that is how we're going to add in a picture to our page. So we're going to click on that. Okay. And can you see along the right hand side of your page, we have our pictures tool. Okay. Now what we want to do, again, I'm going to zoom in so you can see. We want to search for an image. Now we haven't got that image in our My Files because this tool already opens up into our My Files. So you can see here, these are all the images that I've already been using this morning. Okay. We're going to click on this globe button here. So can everybody click on the globe button? And you'll know that you clicked on it because it goes nice bright orange colour. Okay. And then we are going to search for a picture called maple leaf. Okay, so we're going to go maple, so M-A-P-L-E, leaf, a maple leaf. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, if you were to revisit this as a shape poem activity, you could add in a different shape if you wanted to. This works very well using outlines, teachers, and then you can delete the outline. So that's just a little tip for you. Now, the next thing we need to do, so we've typed maple leaf, and we need to tick this box that says clip art. So what that will do, it will give us lots of images that have a white or a blank background, because that's what we want. We don't want our words to get lost in a background. We just want a blank background. So you've typed maple leaf, you've ticked this clip art box, and here we go. We've got some nice maple leaves. Now, I'm going to use this one at the top because I quite like how nice and orange it is and autumnal. There are some ones further down if you want to use them. And when you find the image that you like, you're just going to click and drag it onto your page. Okay, so if you're using a touchscreen, just touch it and move it onto your page. Okay, then we're going to click on our image because it's very small at the moment. We don't want it this small, do we? We want it much bigger so we can add our text around the outside. Okay, so we're going to click on our image, and can you see those blue boxes have appeared now? And we're going to use these corner boxes, and we're going to click and drag them diagonally. So I'm going to click and drag. So again, if you're using a touchscreen device, click on your leaf and then drag that blue little shape outwards towards the bottom corner of your device. Okay, I'm going to make it quite big. Okay, and we want it kind of central to our page. So this is our page outline along the outside. Okay, so you want it quite central. And actually there's a bit of a trick to get it right in the middle of your page and lined up nicely. So I'm going to show you this now. So I've clicked on my image. I've got my blue boxes, so I know that I'm editing this image. And down here, I'm going to show you right at the bottom of your page. Can you see this little image? It looks a bit like a bar chart on its side. I'm going to click on that, and that helps us to position things on our page. Okay, and we're going to use, I'm going to zoom out again, we're going to use this one here. So this has an arrow, a line going horizontally, and then another arrow. So that is going to align it, there we go, right to the middle of my page. Okay, so that's a nice little pro tip for you. That's how we can centralize things onto our page. So we click on it, we click our little bar chart image here, and then click this first position button here, and that will move it into the center of your page. Okay, now the last thing we need to do is we need to lock this onto the page. So that means that we won't be able to move it anymore. Okay, and it'll make it much easier to position text on top of it without it moving accidentally. Okay, so make sure that you've got it in exactly the right place. So teachers, if you need to pause a session, you can, of course. When you've got it in the right place, class, we're going to click this box that says lock. Okay, now if that isn't showing, no. You have to make sure that your leaf is highlighted first. So your leaf has to have its blue boxes around the outside, and then tick this lock box. Okay, so that now means when I click on my leaf, can you see my blue box isn't appearing? Okay, and that means it's locked to the page and we can add things on top of it, and it's a really useful tool when you're creating resources, teachers, just FYI. Now, don't worry if you've put it in the wrong position and you need to move it. All you have to do to be able to unlock this image is to double click, so click twice fast, and then can you see that unlock box appears? You can tick that and then you can click on your leaf so that it can move. Okay, so that's how you can unlock it as well. But I'm going to lock that, so I'm going to make sure that is locked to my page. Okay, so that is our leaf, our outline, and we're going to add in our poem words around the outside of our leaf. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add in, she's not here. Let me add another window because that hasn't worked. Bear with me. Nope. I was going to add in a poem. Ah, there it is. I don't know why that has just appeared like. Things are not working today, guys. I'm going to have to look at my second screen to be able to do this properly. Okay, so just pretend that I'm looking at you. This is one of those days. So can you see I've got our poem up there on the top right for you to see. I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. So that is our poem. Leaves are falling orange and bright. Autumn days are such a sight. Cooler breezes, skies so clear. Autumn time is finally here. So we're going to add these words around the outside of our leaf. Now the trick to this is to add a word at a time, okay, because it allows us to move that word. So what I would like you to do is I want you to click on your page anywhere, doesn't matter. This is not going to work, is it? Let me see if I can put this over here. There we go. Okay, I fixed it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click anywhere on our page and we're going to type the first word of our poem. What is the first word of our poem? It's leaves. Well done. And remember your capital L. So we're going to write L-E-A-V-E-S. Okay? Leaves. And then what we're going to do, once you've written that, don't write anything else, just write the word leaves. We're going to double click on our word. Okay? So at this point we can make it a little bit bigger if we want to. Don't make it really big because that's not going to fit around our leaf. You can make it a little bit bigger. And then can you see this button here? I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Can you see this arrow, this curly arrow that goes round in a circle? Okay. Now that allows us to rotate. So we can click and hold and we can move our word around so we can rotate it. Now the trick is the closer you are to the middle, the more it's going to jump in 30-degree increments. Okay, if you drag your finger outside of that sort of circle, we can turn it a lot more smoothly. Okay, so can you see I'm rotating all the way around? So I'm going to do that one more time just so you can see. So I've double clicked on my word and then I've got this curly circle here, so I'm going to click on it, click and hold, and I'm going to rotate my word. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out and I've rotated my word and then I'm going to move it to this first section of my leaf. And you might want to readjust it so that it lines up with the leaf. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to place leaves down here by the stem of our leaf. Okay, and we're going to go round with all of our words to the end. So then when you've added leaves, then you're going to click again and you're going to write R, because that is the next bit of our poem. And again, you can double click and you can make it a little bit bigger if you want to. And then you're going to click on that curly arrow and you can move that over here. Okay. And you're going to keep going with each word. So then we're going to go falling. Double click. Use your curvy arrow. So click and hold. And this might be a slightly different angle. I'm going to pop this in here. So you might need to make some of these words a little bit smaller so that they fit. Okay. Now you don't want to add them onto your shape, onto your leaf, because they'll get lost in the red and you won't be able to read it very well. Reading black on red is quite tricky. Okay. So we've got leaves are falling. And then I'm going to write orange. And I'm going to rotate this. And I'm going to drag it over to here. Now this one, I need to re-angle that. So I'm going to click on my curvy arrow again and move it. There we go. This one I can make it a bit bigger because it's got quite a big space to fill. And then I'm going to use the next word. So I'm going to go and. And in fact, with and, I might use and bright as one word because this is quite a big gap here. Can you see? So in fact, I'm going to delete that. So I'm just going to hit my delete button. So I'm going to double click and delete. I'm going to click and I'm going to write and bright and my comma. And again, I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to use my curvy arrow. I'm going to move it. And there we go. That's quite nice. That fits quite nicely into that space. Okay, so we've got leaves are falling, orange and bright. So now I'm going to use the word autumn. And don't forget your capital letter because it is a proper noun. So we're going to double click. We're going to rotate again and move it to this space. So that can probably be a little bit better angled. There we go. And I can probably make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And we're going to write days. Oh, now if you click too close to the side of your page, can you see that's dropped onto another line? So what I can do is I can double click and I can just move it over here and expand. Or I can delete and just click more in the center of my page. So I'm going to write days. Let's move it over here. And actually that's quite a nice alignment there. And now we're going to have R. And in fact, I might put this here. So it's up to you where you put your words. They don't have to be lined up. You could have them at a bit more of a jaunty angle. So the next bit is such. And rotate. I've just been told that seasons don't have capital letters. See, even teachers have to be told and learn things. And then we're going to have, now A is a very small word, so I'm going to say a site. Okay, so I'm going to have two words. I'm going to go A, space, and then site. And then don't forget your full stop. And I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. And again, I'm going to move that over here and just rotate it. So there, we've got the first two lines of our poem, and in fact our poem might need a little bit more bulking out to get all the way around our leaf. So we've got leaves are falling orange and bright. Autumn days are such a sight. So we're doing well so far, aren't we? So the next bit of our poem is cooler breezes. So let's add cooler. So I'm going to use cooler, a capital letter, because it's the beginning of a sentence. I know that's correct. And I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. And again, I'm going to rotate. So I'm going to move it in place and let's rotate it. Let's pop it in here. Cooler. I'm going to add breezes. And double click. Let's move it over here and then we can rotate it and see what it looks like. There we go. Let's move that in there. And actually we need to add, I'm going to add in, let's move it over here so you can see. If you need to edit it at any point, you can click on that box and then click at the end. Okay, so as long as you don't double click, because that's when you'll start editing, you can click on the text and then you can click anywhere in that text if you click once, and that is how we can edit text that we've added into J2Create. Okay, so I've added in my comma and I'm going to rotate that again and move it back over here. There we go. So my next bit is skies. And let's move that here. And I'm going to use my curvy arrows. In fact, I might make it a little bit bigger. Use my curvy arrows. And then so that is a tiny word, so that's going to need to be bigger. So double click, use your boxes to make it bigger and rotate. And clear. And don't forget your comma. I'm going to double click. And rotate. And then we're going to have autumn. Now I'm going to put autumn down here, I think. So I'm going to move that and pop it here. So that needs a little bit more rotating. There we go. And we're almost there. Time. Make that bigger and rotate. And we're going to have is. Make that a little bit bigger. And rotate. And then we're going to add finally. So we're going to double click. Make it bigger. And rotate. So that's going to go over here. And then here. And full stop. There we go. And then this last little bit of the leaf is where you're going to write the author. So we're going to have by, and I can make that a bit bigger if I want to. And then I'm going to write miss. And again, I'm going to move that, make it bigger, rotate it. And then I'm going to add Kimball. So you could add your first name. If you're working in pairs, you could add both of your names. Make that a bit smaller. There we go. Okay. So that is how we can add all of our images, all of our text around the outside of our image, of our leaf. Now there are a few other things that we can do to make our page look nice. Okay, so first of all we can change our page colour, and then we can look at editing our text a little bit. Okay. So first off, changing our page colour, I'm going to go down here on my screen. So right at the bottom of my page, we can right click on here, or you can click on this button. Okay, so this little curvy rectangle. I don't even know what shape it is. It's not showing on my page. That's because is it because I'm in the way? Wait there. It's not showing on my page on. There it is. Okay, we fixed it. So down here, over here, this is where you can change your page color. Okay, so this little button, I'm going to zoom in again. This is how we can change our page color in J2Create. So we're going to click on that, and then along the right hand side, so up here, no, up here, that's it, up here. These are the colors that you can choose. So you can click on any of these colors and change how your page looks. Okay, so you might want orange, you might want green. Now these are the colors here, but at the bottom, again, my face is in the way, but here at the bottom, this is where we can change how dark that color is. Okay, so we can make it a really nice dark colour or a really light colour. So it's entirely up to you what colour you want your page to be. I quite like green because I think green and orange are a nice combination. So that is my page background colour. And then the very last thing we can do is we can start editing this text. So now that we've positioned it, we can do things like changing the font. Okay, so I can double click, and you have some fonts up here. And again, I need to move this out of the way. Here we go. In fact, I can get rid of that now that we've finished writing, can't I? So here, so once you've double clicked on your text, this is where you can change your font. So there are some preset ones. Okay, you can choose some favorites, and there's also some more fonts. So some of them are really nice, and you can move this box out the way so we can double click on our text, and we've got things like serif, sans serif, display. So display, quite big and chunky, so you probably won't want those. We've got handwriting, thick or thin. So I would recommend you use handwriting or thin, or even serif, which is more like a print. So some of the handwriting ones are nice, so you can click on those, and you can see that my text is changing when I click on these different fonts. Oh, I quite like that one. Okay. So you can find a font that you like. Now, if you wanted to, you can change every word, so it's a different font. I would probably recommend that you use just one font. So if you find one font that you like, what you can also do is you can highlight all of the words. So we're going to click and drag over all of those words. And then I can use my drop down. And there is that shadows into light that I used earlier. Or you can do the same. You can find a font and see what they all look like. Trying to find one that I like. I don't want anything too You don't want it too curly. So the handwriting ones are nice, but sometimes it can make it a little bit difficult to read the text. Okay, so these ones you can see is quite cursive. I'm going to there we go. Okay, I quite like that one. So that has changed all of my text to a different font. The last thing I'm going to show you before we finish is you can also change the colour of words as well. Now just be mindful, some colours are quite difficult to read on white, okay? But for example, we've got leaves are falling orange and bright. So orange, the obvious colour to change that to would be orange. So we double click on that word, and then along the right hand side we've got this button here. Okay, so that is our colour button. So we're going to click on that, and then the same as we did with our background, we can choose a colour and you can change the saturation, make it darker if you wanted to. I'm going to make it quite a bright orange, I think. There we go. And then you could change and bright, for example, that could be yellow. Maybe not, that's quite difficult. Let's go for blue. Okay. So that is how we can add in our leaf, lock it to the page, add in some text, move our text, edit our text, and change our background. Okay, so obviously the very last thing we need to do is to save our work. So you're going to click up here, the floppy disk button. So hopefully this is familiar. This little button here, that is something Miss Kimmel actually used in real life. So we're going to click floppy disk and we're going to name Autumn Shape Poem. Now I'm going to have to date mine because this isn't the first one that I've done. There we go. And then click save, and that has saved into your My Files then, children, and you've got that as evidence for your teachers. Okay. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's session. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties. Clearly my computer is just having a bit of a mare today on this snowy Tuesday. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed teaching you, as always, and I hope to see some of you in 2 weeks' time. I can't remember for the life of me what is on the schedule, but I'm sure your teachers will keep an eye out. Okay, so thank you so much, class. Enjoy the rest of your